Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. So today is a really special one. During one of his brief stays from jetting around the world, I was able to catch up for an in-person interview with Trevor Baker, the director of Premier Play for Legend Story Studios. So we sit down and we talk events like Brazil, the big win to bring competitive fab to Germany, Skirmish season and Blitz, as well as, of course, as you would expect, future events through the end of the year and into 2026. Plus, Trevor shares with us his vision for the future. A huge shout out to our channel members for supporting what we do here. If you want to get involved with the channel and the Dice Commando community, please consider joining as a channel member. Remember, these videos are only possible with your support. You can show that support with a like, a subscribe, and by leaving us a comment and sharing your feedback. Community first, and go Commando. Hey there, my flesh and blood friends. Just super quick before we get into this really great interview, I want to give a thank you to Gongai Games for allowing us to use their space. It was really nice that Trevor and I could do this in person. I think it added a lot to the back and forth. Now, one thing you'll notice over the course of this hour and a half long interview, that's right, is that near let's say the last 30-ish minutes or so, the echo starts getting bad. Now the TLDR of what was happening was there was a pre-release event for another game happening, and as that baseline noise raised outside, Trevor and I were raising our voices and it basically just blew out the microphone settings, so you started getting some crosstalk. So that's what happened. I hope it doesn't detract too much because there's a lot of really good stuff in that. So please enjoy. Looking forward to your comments. And again, Trevor, thank you for taking a huge chunk of your time to sit down and share all this with us. Thanks for watching, folks, and go Commando. Hey there, my Dice Commando friends. Welcome back to the channel. We have a super special one today because in the actual flesh and blood, we have Trevor Baker, who runs Premier OP for Legend Story Studios. He's going to be walking us through everything in 2025 and 2026, maybe even beyond.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Yeah.
So welcome, my friend. How are you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, happy to be here. Happy to have a few moments to chat with you before I get on a plane and go to London. So it's a good time for us to catch up and enjoy a little bit of spring weather here in Portland.
Yeah, it's super nice today. Yeah. Trevor and I might have, had a beer before we came. Definitely. Because it was really nice outside.
Have to enjoy the Portland, brew pub scene and all that good stuff. So yeah.
That's right.
But happy to be here at your LGS Gongai. So they've been fortunate to provide this studio space for us to record in today.
Yeah, so, and yes, shout out to Gongai for giving us the space, and obviously we're here every Saturday at 6 o'clock for your armory needs if you're in the area. Yeah. But for anyone who doesn't know whom you are, can you tell us about yourself, what your role is at Legend Story Studios, and what you do for the Flesh and Blood community? Yeah,
definitely. So my name is Trevor Baker. I have joined the studio as of 2.5 years now. So it's been a little bit doing Premier organized play for Legend Story Studios. So for the past 2.5 years, taking care of all of the events that happen kind of outside of your local game store. So everything from a Battle Hardened all the way up to the World Championship. So we're putting on all these events all around the world for people to come together and play great games. So
in the flesh and
blood. So that's my shtick is bringing people together. So yeah.
I like it.
It's fun.
I like it. And this is special for me. I always enjoy getting to talk to you because, we kind of started the fab scene together in parallel, whatever you want to say, in our local area. And,
definitely.
And now you're like a big boy in the scene. So
that's what it is. I always, before the pandemic, that was... that was my thing, right? Was like organizing events, obviously for Magic before, and turns out there's a pandemic and all that stuff changed. But I was really happy to find Flesh and Blood and to be working with a company that really values organized play and putting on big events around the world. So. I feel very fortunate to be in the position that I am, to be able to bring my experiences and my skill set and my background to a company that really values that. Because at the end of the day, it's you just want to make an impact into the world. Mm-hmm. You want to make an impact in people's lives, and so for me, it's just like the perfect marriage. So yeah, it's great.
So I actually appreciate it. I know we're going way off script right now, but there's a very big philosophy in kind of looking at job satisfaction in terms of when you leave the job, did I make it better?
Yeah.
And I appreciate that kind of approach that you said there, right? Did I make it better?
100%. I mean, I think so unfortunately, a lot of people do have to, in their life, they just need to take a job for whatever it may be, to support their family, for financial reasons, to, put a roof over their head or whatever. I mean, I'm very fortunate to be in a position where I can, really choose like what I want to do with my life. And I think the beauty of that is, in any working relationship, it kind of takes two to tango, right? And so for me to be working with a publisher that values me and for me to value them, I think it needs to be very reciprocal in order for you to really get a lot out of it. And so that's the beauty of it is we're both a part of this venture because we want to be here, because we want to wake up in the morning and, to build something better, to build something greater. And yeah, it's exciting when you have that kind of, motivation to, keep advancing things every day and to push yourself. And those times when you need to be, awake at 2 a.m. to take a call with someone in Asia, or to wake up a little early in the morning to take care of something in Europe, if it's what you want to do, then all the other things don't really matter. So.
I appreciate that. Yeah. No, I thought that was a good statement.
Yeah.
So you just got back. So keep in mind when this is going live, there's about a week lag here for some tactical reasons of things we're going to be talking about today.
Yeah.
But you just got back from South America, the other side of the equator.
Yeah.
There's some good stories coming out of that.
Yeah.
We needed to get some prize support into Brazil.
Yeah.
And
it's
walk us through the story.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So this past month of March, it's been a little bit crazy, right? So before I even go to Brazil, I am like on a plane going to Japan, right? And so I'm going, to take care of some business in the Tokyo area, to just check out a venue and stuff. And then I go down to Kobe and I'm there, for a few days. And then literally coming back from Kobe, I've got about 24 hours at home before I'm, moving on and going down to Sao Paulo.
A whole 24 hours with your family?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm going down there, kind of changing out my luggage. I've got like a whole luggage put together that has items that I need to take down to Sao Paulo. And so I'm doing this whole thing. And then, I think I got back Saturday night, and then I was out the following Monday morning. So maybe it was like 36 hours. But anyways, so yeah, look, like with Brazil, it is always kind of this fun thing where, obviously things like the product, the playmats, those kinds of things, we have a process for bringing all those things through. But for a lot of the, like smaller things, promo cards, the trophy, some uncut sheets, things like that customs probably have no idea what these kinds of things are. And it's very hard for anyone to put like a commercial value on it when you're actually like sending those items in, right? Because they're not for retail sale. So yeah, I'm just going through customs and everything to make sure that everything's good. So it's a little nerving.
Yeah,
but
we won't use the term smuggling.
No. I mean, the thing is, they had no commercial value, right? Like they're given away for free as something that people can redeem for. And so that's just it, right? It's like trying to ship something like that in is unfortunately really difficult with a place like Brazil. It will just get stuck basically. So even if I had to settle any kind of duty or payment, at least I'm physically there with the items, right? So if anything came up, but it's all good. But that is unfortunately just, it kind of comes with the territory of taking care of, some of the events down in that part of the world. And it's not like a foreign concept for them, right? Like even a lot of players and judges down there, I know they're bringing a lot of single cards back in and things like that because they just don't have enough like stock. Tell you one more story about Brazil. Normally when we open the events on, Friday morning, there's always a rush for people to come and get their Fable, their Go Again packages. They want to get their vouchers, their playmats, all those goodies. When we opened the doors at 8 a.m. in Brazil, almost nobody cared to pick up those things, and they all went straight to the vendor. So there was one vendor that was there. It was Tyler Broughton from Righteous Gaming. Very fortunate to have Tyler come down from the States. He brought a lot of inventory, and he had a line around his booth pretty much from when the show opened Friday morning all the way till Sunday afternoon, because people just they need cards, and there's just not enough supply in Brazil, unfortunately. So as far as I know, he had a pretty good weekend, and I was very thankful to have him there. So that's just another piece about how, there's not
global logistics.
Yeah, just global logistics, right? Just, the stuff that I had to bring in that was promotional stuff, not really for a commercial purpose, but then, Tyler coming in to help, satisfy all the players' needs for the single cards they need for the calling. So, but yeah, awesome event in Brazil. I'm sure you want to get into some of the other great things that happened in Brazil.
That was the first calling in Brazil. Absolutely big deal. We know they have a huge calling, poor choice of words there. We have a huge interest in South America. I have some channel members from Chile, actually. Shout out, boys. But lots of people down there who are very excited about that. So hoping to maybe you can expand on that, on how we're going to be looking at that area in the future, in the next of this cast, right? But what I want to ping you on right now, the huge deal was Germany. Right? Okay. That was maybe 2 weeks ago at this point, the announcement that we collectively have been able to establish organized play in Germany, which is huge from not just a Flesh and Blood perspective, but from a TCG perspective.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, this has been close to 2 years in the making. So we started working on this Germany thing, I want to say in middle of 2023. So about a half a year after I started with Legend Story Studios, we started exploratory kind of conversations in Germany about how we could organize cash prize tournaments in Germany, right? So that was, one of the things that we kind of undertook. And we needed to, find a, German law office that would even, be interested in kind of exploring that with us, right? Because just finding somebody that wants to talk to a company that's, based in New Zealand and about a trading card game and, cash prizes. It's one of those things where it's not like there's a proper permitting or approval process. So we kind of had to it was kind of like a novel thing for us to go through, right? So we had to do a lot of paperwork. We submitted a lot of statistical modeling about how Flesh and Blood is a game of skill. A lot of things where we would show players and their ELO ratings and the likelihood that a higher skilled player would win versus a lower skilled player, and a lot of really in-depth analysis. I mean, stuff that's kind of a little bit above my head, but I was very thankful to the rest of the team that helped put together a lot of that paperwork. That was part of it. A lot of it was just, also sending them samples in German and things like that, so the authorities there would actually be able to see what Flesh and Blood is and this sort of thing. And so, look, over the course of that year and a half, we obviously had to bounce around a bit from talking to people at the federal level to talking to people at the state level in Germany to get somebody who would actually kind of take on this, proposal, I guess, that we had. As of the end of last year, we actually got issued I'll just say the English name because the German name's ridiculous, but it's basically a clearance certificate. It's valid for a period of time, and it allows us to organize cash prize events. There are some conditions that we have to comply with, so it allows us to organize these events, in Germany. The one thing that hasn't really been discussed too much is one of the considerations that the German government did put on us is that the events will have to be 18 and over. So that will be a consideration. Now
that's relevant, but
it's relevant, but the Flesh and Blood audience actually this is less than 1% of our player base, especially in Germany. It might even be 0, honestly. So it is just a condition that they have
it's probably relevant for your larger events, but maybe not your side events.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it's not going to impact people who go to their LGS and play and this sort of thing. But for these cash prize events, there will be a requirement that you'll have to be 18 and over to play for a cash prize event in Germany.
So it's only for so it actually would, my statement on side events is completely irrelevant. I understand.
Yeah. So yeah, that is going to be one thing, unfortunately, that we have to kind of navigate. So there will be some security doing, ID checks and that sort of thing. There's this thing in Germany called the Youth Protection Act. So we do need to abide by that. There's a few other things, but those aren't. That's probably the one thing that we will have on the event page when we actually open registration for this calling that we're going to do later in the year. We can talk about that later when we talk about the 2025 schedule, is that, it'll be an 18 and over event. So it is just something that we'll have to adhere to. But look, I mean,
it's a huge win.
It's a condition that we just have to accept if we want to run a calling in Germany, right? Now, the hope is, to be honest, is we do this event and we build a case study out of it, and hopefully after demonstrating a couple times, like, we can run these events, they're safe, people aren't losing excessive amounts of money and like these other kinds of things, like maybe we'll even get the authorities to like open up, over time, right? But we want to make sure that we're following the conditions of our clearance certificate, these first times, and make sure that everything, we're ticking all the boxes. So
interesting.
But yeah, so really excited to be bringing a calling to Germany later this year.
I mean, it's a big win. Like, as I mentioned, kind of leading into the question, it's a big win, not just for you all, but for the industry as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, keep in mind, this is a flesh and blood clearance certificate.
Right.
So any other TCG.
But now that it's been demonstrated, right?
Yeah. Well, keep in mind that we used a lot of our own analytics and player analytics.
Fair point.
I don't know if other games will be able to demonstrate the sort of skill propensity in flesh and blood compared to other games, right? So we were able to demonstrate that when two players sit down at the table, a higher ranked player has like a significantly higher likelihood of winning that game, right?
Very interesting.
So that was like very key to saying like, oh wow, this is actually like a game of skill. This isn't just two players shuffling their deck and we're going to see what happens. No, like there's like facts behind this, and so that's why I actually don't know what would happen for other publishers, and they'll have to go through that process. So yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, so my next question, I mean, you know me. I'm a huge fan of Skirmish season.
Yep.
Whether it be Blitz or whatever. I mean, I skew towards Blitz, but I'm a huge fan of Skirmish season because of what it does for the LGS. So as the individual responsible for making decisions going forward, are there any opportunities for LGSs in the future of organized play to really expand upon casual REL competitive events? I think that's probably the best way to say that, right? I mean, Skirmish is a casual REL designed to be played in the LGS, intended to be played in the LGS, but it's still competitive. And, the other bonus is there are very attractive events for LGSs to run. So what's your thought on that?
Yeah, I mean, right, like the Skirmish season is like kind of like a low overhead kind of event, right? Like when you compare a Skirmish to a ProQuest or a Road to Nationals, and you're needing to adhere to having deck lists and needing to have certified judges and these kinds of things, and maybe you're preparing for a larger event. So if you're running a 64 person event, you might need more space, you might need to rent an external venue or use a different facility in your LGS, whereas a Skirmish, you're probably just using your existing play space of 16 to 32.
Skirmish specifically says it's intended to be played in the LGS.
Yeah, exactly. So, exactly. You're just using what's available to you and letting people sign up and play. I would say, look, we're trying to give game stores agency over the format that they want to pick in terms of, whether it's Blitz or Living Legend or Sealed Deck, whatever they think their community, will, be interested in. Right. So, we're giving the LGSs that kind of agency over it. As far as, where does the format go from here?
Well, I guess it's more, can we bring more such events to the LGS is more, I guess, the question. All right.
Yeah.
And I'm not asking for a commitment, just like conceptually, is it possible to, because they're very popular events.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. I mean, I think one of the tricky things is the line probably starts to blur even more now between, your armory events that give out gem packs, which are super coveted, and, a skirmish event that also has some cool prizes, but we've also leveled up the kind of prizes that you're getting every week, for your armory. So, I mean, this is something we'll probably talk a little bit more later, which is just kind of the overall calendar. There's only going to be so many weekends in the year when you start laying out all these event programs. Getting back up to 3 skirmish seasons in a year was really one of the goals. And so that way, kind of like in the back half of seasons, you would have a skirmish season to kind of wrap up the season and get people excited for the next release. So, because I think, like this one's kind of a mid-season skirmish season, but some of the others later in the year will be kind of towards the back half of the season. So, I mean, it gives people a chance to come in and re-engage in the LGS when, it's true, right? Like every product has, a hype cycle that kind of builds up and then, from world premiere to pre-release to release. And then we usually have, some sort of ProQuest or Road to Nationals that kind of, takes people from the release out for 4, 5, 6 weeks. And then, we have other big marquee events, but obviously things kind of slow down because we're starting to build back up hype for the next thing. So the skirmish season kind of helps fill a little bit of that void where, there might not be maybe as much enthusiasm, as we're kind of ramping back up. So I don't know necessarily if interjecting like more skirmish specifically is going to be the answer.
Well, I mean, it doesn't have to be skirmish.
Yeah,
right?
But I mean, this is one of the things that as we talk, a little bit more, we do kind of want to move in a direction where I think we have a lot of different things going on in organized play, and not everything talks to each other perfectly. And there's a little bit more complexity with some of the programs than we need. And it's my hope that as we head into next year, we make things as simple as possible for everyone. Like we make sure that there's like very clear, pathways for people who want to aspire to be a professional player. And there's, clear pathways for, people who just want to come, have a good time, pick up some new cards, play their favorite deck, and earn some cool prizes along the way, but maybe they don't, need, a professional tournament invite or something like that. So we want to make some of these pathways a little bit, clearer and simpler. What's going on? We have a lot of good ideas in what has happened over the past few years, but we haven't really taken time to reconcile what we're doing, right? Like there's a lot of different event programs that we do. When you think about, World Championship, National Championships, Callings, Battle Hardens, ProQuest Plus, ProQuest, Road to Nationals, Armory, Super Armory, pre-release, release celebration, which has kind of, fallen away, right? So like there's probably like a few other things, we haven't even talked about, social play kits and things like that. And unfortunately UPF has kind of fallen, off the reservation a little bit. So like there's a lot of things we need to kind of simplify things a little bit. There's, I think, a couple tournament types that we could kind of streamline a little bit better. That's kind of my goal. Is like we have a lot of good puzzle pieces on the table, but let's find a way to arrange this in a little bit more elegant way as we move forward. So yeah,
well, fair enough. So you actually had a good lead in there. You mentioned people wanting to go and earn cool prizes.
Yep.
Right. So you also with these events, you may have 300 people in a calling. I mean, let's use Portland as an example. Right? I think it was like 300 and change in the calling, but we had 550 or something like that.
Yeah, over 500.
There are people who come out and they don't play in these big events. So can you talk to us about how Flesh and Blood's restructuring? Maybe not restructuring is the right word, but how are you approaching the prize wall and event prizes and stuff like that? What's your approach there to really appealing to the person who doesn't want to play in the calling, but they want to come jam a Blitz event? Yeah,
look, we need to appreciate all those folks that on both sides of this, right? Of people who want to come and play in the calling, and people who just want to, come and play in a handful of events over the course of the weekend, accrue some prize ticks, and go to the prize wall and win some cool prizes. Look, playing in the calling is a commitment, right? Especially if you're going to play it till completion. You might have, a 10 or 11 hour first day, maybe a little bit less. Maybe if it's a smaller one, maybe it's 8 or 9 hours. But and then the next day you've got maybe 7 to 10 hours, depending on if you make top 8, right? So these are 2 very long days, and that pretty much like is a commitment for your whole weekend, and you don't get to touch all of the other events that we have, or the artists that might be there, or the vendors that might be there, or trading with your friends, or you might even be sacrificing going to dinner with your friends or other things, right? So like there's a lot of sacrifices you make if you want to play in the calling. And so Portland's a great example, and we can talk about Brazil as well, where it's like, unfortunately, we might have a headline statistic where I think maybe Portland had, I don't know, like 350 to 400 in the calling.
Yeah. No, I think it was like 300 and change.
Yeah, 300 and change in the calling, but the actual total number of unique players through the door was over 500. I think it was like 504. And then when you add all of the judges and staff and vendors and everyone else, we probably had close to 550 to 600 unique people that are a part of the ecosystem, right? So it gets really interesting when you talk about the whole ecosystem of people involved. We're probably pushing 600 people, through the door, right? And it kind of like, it's great, but unfortunately the headline stat that always comes out is how big was the calling, right? That's what people online focus in on. It's what the competitive players focus in on.
It's got a nice image of
it's
heroes'
got a nice
faces
image
on it,
with
right?
The heroes and everything. And like, if we talk about this event in Brazil, right? People might just say, "Oh, it's 264 people. It was a nice event, but we've had some battle hardens that are in the high 100s or low 200s, so." What does this mean? But the reality is like there was 264 in the calling, but there was over 370 people playing in some event over the course of Sao Paulo. And when I look at that 370, that shows me a lot of strength in the market, right? Like there is a hungry Brazilian community that wants to come and play in these events. And so people online aren't going to really see that 370 number, right? And as a studio, I think we can do better with communicating that. I think there's a lot of things that we need to improve on, from like event recaps and infographics and kind of promotional bits, whether we're putting that out on LinkedIn or Twitter or other things where we're showing kind of like the achievements of what these events are doing, the economic impact they're bringing to a particular region or community, right? Like the event we did in Osaka, right? 1,500 people. Almost 1,000 people came from outside of Japan to play in that event. It was around 500 people were Japanese. Around 1,000 people from outside of Japan came to Osaka to participate, right? So that's a pretty significant thing when you start thinking about the business aspect of like, what are these events doing? The fact we mobilized 1,000 people to come to Japan, and the fact that they stayed for...
that's just raw player count. You're not...
I'm not even talking about vendors or judges or artists or spouses or whatever, right? But just those 1,000 extra people that came to Osaka that were players that played in some event that had a country tag that was not Japan. And you got to figure these people were spending 3, 4, 5 nights in a hotel. They, bought an airplane ticket. They're buying, food and beverage every day and these kinds of things. And like, we're making like a meaningful impact into some of these geographies that we're visiting. And so I want to make sure that at LSS, we're actually like capturing this and communicating it, because I think it actually builds a lot of professional credibility to what the studio is doing when you demonstrate that, right? Like, we're obviously not putting on the Super Bowl, right? But this is like a meaningful association of people that are going around the world and exploring new places and coming together for an extended weekend. So yeah, look, this is a little bit of a detour, but it's these are things that are important to me and important to the studio, and I think just important to the industry as a whole, like demonstrating this and really showing our appreciation for people that travel around the world. And I think a lot of people also appreciate that we are putting on an event program that allows people to participate around the world. I don't really know of another publisher in this space that's delivering at the level that we're delivering in terms of a global circuit that you would want to travel to. Obviously, other card games are running around the world, but they're very much focused on people staying within their geography, and only for something like a world championship are they traveling. We're telling people, 20 to 30 times a year to go out and explore the world, right? Like some other card game might say for the world championship, go here, or for a pro tour, maybe go here. But we're telling people several times a year, get out of your comfort zone, come be with your friends that are going to be over there. There's going to be 500 people that that are part of your social circle, whether you know them or not. Maybe you've seen them on Twitter, maybe you've seen them on Facebook, whatever. But there's going to be a bunch of people that you have some sort of affinity or attachment to that, you're not just going to go to a foreign place and not have anyone you recognize there. You're going to travel to Osaka or London or wherever, and you're going to have people that you can go out and have dinner with, or go, get a drink with, or go see, if you're in London, go see a play on the West End, right? You probably can just put out a little thing on Twitter and use hashtag FabTCG and say, hey, I'm thinking about going to see, Hamilton one night. So there you go.
Yeah, that's very good.
Yeah.
But to kind of go back to kind of where we entered on here, I know something you personally are very proud of is, the pricing and the gem packs and stuff like that. So, what does that look like? I know that's a very general question, but what does that look like in the future? Yeah,
so look, obviously gem packs have been a huge success, right? So we...
100%.
Yeah.
As a TO for armories, thank you.
Yeah, people probably don't have enough, right? And so obviously, the team is doing a pretty tight job of making sure that the packs are getting where they need to go and not over, sending packs to where they shouldn't go. Hopefully by,
because we don't want to dilute the market either. Because then
you don't want to, and you don't want to keep sending, promotional materials to stores that aren't actively, running events, right? So it's probably going to take, a season or two for stores to be truly properly calibrated, right? Like they are making, incremental things in the wave in between, because there's the main wave and then kind of the restock wave, and then Gem Pack 2, there'll probably be a little bit more of an increase, and then there'll still be that step, the big step and then the half step sort of thing. And then, I hope that, for most LGSs, I would say maybe between 1 to 2 seasons, the metrics kind of figure out what you need. That's one thing. I mean, prizes in general, at events and just promo cards and things like that. Like, we obviously want to make sure that, like, when you come to a world tour event, so you come to a calling, like we want to offer you something like extraordinary that you just don't get in your local game store, right? Like when you go to your local game store, you're usually just getting, gem packs and booster packs. That is the prize offering, the end. Maybe some stores do store credit instead of booster packs, but it's effectively, about the same thing.
But in terms of what LSS can offer, you're right.
Right. And in terms of what your LGS can provide, right? So we want to make it where when you come to a calling and you accumulate all these prize ticks, you get like choices that you don't get on a daily basis, right? So whether that's being able to get a giant card, an oversized card, or being able to get the framed uncut sheets, or being able to get a bunch of token, cold foil tokens, or other kinds of promo cards. I think there's something we can learn from Gem Pack, and it is my hope that as we head into next year, there might even be a type of pack that you could get only at World Tour stops, right?
Oh, interesting.
Like something special. I think that would be kind of a fun way for people to, try and hit some special things that they can't get in their normal.
You piloted it at Worlds.
Yeah.
Right.
So
in its own way with the Ira packs.
True. Yeah. That's, very closed kind of card pool, but having something where you could have a few more things that you could hit, I think would be really interesting. People just coming to the prize wall to get a bunch of booster packs doesn't really, it's kind of like a default kind of cash out sort of thing. And like, I get it, but I don't really feel like, we're doing anything like cool with that, right? Like I want to kind of move us in a direction where, going to the prize wall is like a memorable experience, not just I'm going to the prize wall, grabbing a box of the hunted and, peace out. Like that doesn't really do anybody all that much good, right? So I want you to get things that you can't get in your LGS that you can't get normally. I want you to, maybe that's getting a cool piece of gear for your hero that, maybe it's not a gold foil, but it's like something different, something cool, something, unique and novel that you can grind at some of these, world tour events, right? So these are the kinds of things that we're working on to kind of level up the prize wall a bit, to make it, something that, is kind of, kind of exclusive to coming on the world tour and getting these things. And the whole core philosophy of that is offering you something different that you can't just experience like every week in your LGS, right? Like, we want to give you a reason to get on a plane and to go somewhere, to get on a train, or to get in your car and go there, right? Like, it needs to be a different experience than what you can do every week.
Sure.
So.
Yeah, and actually, to build on that a little bit, when the armory kits went away, the playmat pipeline decreased. Yeah. Right? Is that a possibility? Something you're looking at? Because I know I know a lot of my viewers particularly were very passionate about that. So what are your thoughts there?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, the playmats being in there was kind of an essential thing, I would say, early on in the game, where especially during the COVID years, where there were no events that you could go to buy, a playmat. There were no Fable packages you could buy.
That makes sense.
There weren't these opportunities for you to pick up playmats. And so being able to get, a couple playmats into every store every month was kind of like the primary way of doing it. As time has moved on, right, people, and as people maybe travel to events, people will start to accumulate probably several playmats over the years. Exactly, right? Probably to the point where people like you and I, if we know somebody and they're really need a playmat, we probably just find a way to hook them up, right? So yeah, look, as far as like playmats back into the shop, I think there is an opportunity for us.
I know I didn't mean back in the shop. I just meant in terms of like prize wall pipeline. Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I mean, we do have some playmats that are on the prize wall, and we are trying to make sure that we're curating a good number of those mats. We want them to be still kind of valuable, right? Like, we don't just want to print, to give you context, right? Like, an armory playmat would probably get printed, a couple thousand times, right? And so, if you think about the number of LGSs in the world, there was 2 in each kit, it's not hard to figure out that math, right? So
sometimes they were different, but
sometimes,
I get your point.
Sometimes there's 2 playmats in there, but
I get your point.
Even then, it's almost 1,000 a playmat, right? So, but when we're doing, some cool playmats on the prize wall, we're able to actually kind of make these things a little bit more, rare, right? Like, not that they're hard to get, but it's just that we're able to kind of, just lower those runs down, so that way when you do get a particular playmat, it does feel special, right? It's not that all of your friends have it, right? Like, you going to get this playmat should be like a special, quest. It's not unattainable by any means, but it should be, valuable, right?
Maybe you have to, make some trades with buddies for ticks or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't price the playmats like very high in terms of ticks. Like, they're very attainable.
And they decrease, right? Like, a playmat that used to be 1,600 might be 800 or whatever.
Sure, yeah. As it gets to end of life, and we're just getting rid of the last few. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I've given you some softballs, but now I gotta come at you, my friend, because I love Blitz.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And when I look at the 2025, outlook, I don't see a lot of Blitz on there. So, avoiding conversation about the format itself, kind of let me set the stage for my question. So, 9, 10, Skirmish 9, 10, and 11 all let the LGSs choose.
Yep.
The relevant 2 are Skirmish. So Skirmish 9 did not. They took sealed off the board and they introduced LL.
Right.
10 and 11 both had all 3 formats on the table for folks to choose.
Yep.
But very consistently between those seasons, 66. It was actually in 10 and 11. It was 66% of the stores chose Blitz.
Yeah.
So if I'm Legend Story Studios, I'm saying a good portion of my wider community.
Yeah.
Maybe not the ones flying to my call-ins, but a good portion of my wider local community likes to play Blitz.
Yeah.
So, with OP only focusing on CC or team events or variations thereof, what does that tell to your wider audience?
Yeah. Well, look. I mean, I think that says a couple things. One, it shows the appetite of the stores and the players, just the community as a whole, the appreciation they have for formats that are kind of faster pace, tournaments that can be shorter in duration, these kinds of things, and also as a studio, we have an appetite to make sure that we're building a format that can be that sort of short form format, right? Like I very much want us to have a short form format that is robust, that is reliable, that people, at a casual level and a competitive level can appreciate, right? Like that is 100% a priority for us. It's something that me and my team members, we talk about a lot. Like we will love to get to a point where, Sunday Battle Hardens could be played with a format that's a fast-paced format, right? Like we also have considerations too, right? When we're running these events, we got to get out of the hall.
Especially on Sundays,
on
right?
Sunday, right? Like we want to pack up and get out of the hall.
Right.
And players also maybe need to catch a red-eye home, catch an evening flight, that sort of thing. So these, and also just during the course of any day, during a calling or a convention weekend, there's a huge appetite for tournaments that are, 2 to 3 hours in duration, as opposed to tournaments that are 4 to 10 hours in duration, right? So this is something we have to work towards. I can't really talk too much about the specifics of, Blitz or other future formats, but I can tell you it's a huge priority, right? Like we need to solve this. The development team is hard at work at kind of what the next iteration of this is. The Blitz format is very explosive, right? Like you get to basically take the same power level from Classic Constructed and just cut the life in half, but you still got the same power level, right? And so, it's explosive, but that has challenges around it, right? So,
but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing, right?
Not necessarily a bad thing, but
I know that the competitive community at large doesn't necessarily like Blitz, but a lot of them approach it from the standpoint of it's not CC as opposed to it's a different format.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So I'm just curious how you, from a Premier, again, 66% of your LGSs had the option and they chose Blitz.
Right.
So what does that say?
I mean, that says the barrier, right? The barrier to participate or to organize the event is lower, right? Like if your option is LL, people need probably, pimped out decks, right? Where they're, playing with some special things, or field. I mean, obviously in this most recent season, there's probably some constraints with stores even having access to product to run a sealed skirmish this late in the season. That's also,
to be fair, they probably didn't know that when they actually scheduled their event.
That's also probably fair.
But
no, I mean, if you think about it,
point, though.
If you think about it, right, like the Blitz format is probably the current lowest barrier to entry, but I think we can do better, right? Like because Blitz, you can still be playing with the same kind of set of gear and the same kinds of cards, just at 2/3 frequency. So look, I think it says to me that there's a appetite for a secondary constructed format that doesn't have the same kind of barrier to entry as CC, right? And when I say barrier to entry as CC, it's not just like financial, it's also time, it's also
space,
the competitive fatigue, the mind fatigue, right? Like playing an hour of CC is challenging for people, right? Like it's not, if I was, 18 to 20 again, I think I would love CC, but I'm, a dad, I'm 35. I don't have a lot of time to devote to some of these things. And it's, I think honestly, like just harder for some people to really put in the time that it takes to be an elite, classic constructed player. And so I think it's important that we make the game accessible to folks. So I think that's what it kind of says to me is like, Blitz is a little bit, lower barrier for people to get into, but I think we can do even better with it. So
I think that's a great answer. I appreciate the honesty, and it's a hard question.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes, as someone who might only have 3 to 4 hours available as opposed to 12, I appreciate the answer. So there is a certain, from the OP standpoint though, right? we had the first commoner event in Portland, and it was very well attended. Battle Hardened had, I think, 120. I think it was maybe even 130. Some
yeah,
people.
I think you were almost 140. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. I don't. In the moment, I don't remember, but it almost does kind of demonstrate from a fab competitive OP standpoint. If you build it, they will come.
100%.
So again, I would challenge you a little bit. Again, I know that you're working on formats and stuff, but to that point, if you build it, they will come. Why not Blitz?
Yeah, I mean, look, there's constraints. I mean, I think the young hero thing has, there's an appetite for it. I mean, I think there's.
I'm not asking you to talk formats. To be clear,
that's fair.
Right?
That's fair. I mean,
Commoner was a huge success.
No, and I think Commoner is actually a great example of why it worked, right? So, I think it's really cool that in Commoner, you can essentially play with any hero, right? Like,
right.
I think that's a lot of. Or an amount of appeal is because you can basically build your commoner deck and it's eternal. You can keep using it, maybe tweak a few cards like each release or whatever. But it's also like very easy for somebody to build like a long box of 6-8 commoner decks if they want to, right?
There's no one watching this right now who has multiple boxes built of all commoners.
Oh no, really? Oh no, not at all. Okay. But yeah, look, I think there's a lot that we can take actually from that, like. And that's another one where we've even lowered the barrier entry lower, right? So, I think that's the thing. Like we ran last year some battle hardens that were Blitz at the end of the year. We did like one in Italy, right? The attendance was abysmal. It was like 27 people, right?
Oh,
and so
I mean, fair enough.
It was not good. And to the point where when that happened, we were going to have another battle hardened that was Blitz in Kuala Lumpur.
Was it paired with the calling?
Yeah, it was paired with the calling. Yeah, well, I mean, the calling was not Blitz, but the battle hardened was Blitz. And so we were going to do a Blitz battle hardened in Kuala Lumpur, which was also on a calling weekend as well. And at that time, it was like 2 weeks later, but we had 0 pre-reg for the battle hardened. And I just, told the team, let's just pull the plug and just make it CC. Because a 27-person battle hardened is not doing anyone any good, right? Like, we're not taking care of the people that are there. And
so people aren't dropping in from the calling and registering for the battle hardened.
They're playing other things. So, I mean,
they're just doing they're doing the side event.
Yeah, and this will be something that as we get into 2026, like the battle hardened is a program that we do have to spend a little bit of time kind of re-engineering a little bit, because even for some other events, I think the battle hardened, to me, the battle hardened is in its sweet spot when it's between like 65 and 128. To me, that's like the sweet spot for a battle hardened based on 2 PTIs, $2,000, the cash prizes, that's and the play mats and those kinds of things. But it's kind of a challenging one, because when some of these battle hardens get like way above 120 people, you start looking at the return on investment, and it kind of makes you question a little bit what's going on here. And when you also get below like 60 some odd people, then you're pushing like ProQuest territory. And so it is kind of a tricky one that we're trying to navigate this sort of sweet spot. So I think you'll see us kind of make some changes with Battle Hardened as we head into next year, to kind of allow it to be a little bit more sustainable just as an event program, and kind of give those battle hardened organizers a little bit more agency in what they do. So
interesting. Actually, Trevor, I think that's a great unplanned lead in to my final question. Kind of talking about the future of OP, right? If I'm looking back from my perspective, battle hardens were kind of quote unquote the scout for markets.
Sure.
Right. So if we've reached the point, or collectively we've reached the point where you're reevaluating the role the battle hardened plays, I think that's very interesting. So for 2025 and 2026, I'm going to kind of turn it over to you. I know you've got some notes you want to pull up.
Yeah.
Let's talk OP for both 5 and 6.
Yeah, maybe better we start in the year ahead, right? So if people are watching this, they probably just saw the keynote last night in London. So
that's how time works.
Yeah, I know, right? We're in the future now all of a sudden. So allow me to talk a little bit more openly about what we have ahead the rest of the year. So callings, right? We've got a number of callings that are going to be taking place the rest of this year. We've obviously already promoted Taipei, the world premiere for High Seas. That event getting very close to selling out. We already sold out Souvenir, Year of the Snake package. The world premiere, as of right now, is already about 70% or so sold out, and packages around the same number as well. So make sure to register. Who knows? Actually, by the time you're seeing this, percentage is probably even higher. We have the U.S. National Championship, which will be at the World Tour stop in Las Vegas, which will also have a calling and a battle hardened. That's in June, 6th to 8th. Then we've got the event that we kind of already teased that was going to be in Italy. That'll be in Bologna, June 13 to 15. And I figure we'll probably get you some things, or you'll clip things maybe out of the video and put like some video overviews so people can see the full schedule.
I've got screen grab abilities.
Yep. So we'll have our that'll be a classic constructed calling in Bologna, and then obviously we have the Pro Tour coming to Singapore. That'll be middle of July 17 to 20. First Pro Tour that will be in kind of the Southeast Asia region. So very excited for that. Now we're going to get into the events that you don't know about yet. So a couple weeks after that, August 8th through 10th, we will be doing a calling in Auckland. So we'll be going back to Auckland. This will be taking place within the Auckland Card Show. Not just one calling, but two callings that weekend.
Oh, double calling weekend.
Double calling weekend.
It's a Memphis repeat, baby.
It is. So in Auckland, the first calling will be starting on Friday. That'll be Welcome to Rathe Unlimited. And if you make day 2, you'll be drafting Welcome to Rathe Alpha.
Joke.
So tickets for this Auckland event will be going live.
And they are $10,000.
No, it's actually going to be priced just like a normal calling. So it'll be normal pricing for this calling. But yeah, day one will be day one of the first calling will be Welcome to Rathe Unlimited, and then if you make day 2, you'll be drafting Alpha.
And you get to fly to an amazing country.
And you get to go to New Zealand. Second calling on Saturday will be Classic Constructed, so we obviously got to take care of people wanting to play CC. And then on Sunday, the Battle Hardened, a farewell to Arcane Rising with Arcane Rising First Edition sealed. So that'll be a lot of fun. So
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I'm not kidding at all. So here's the thing, right? Like
I gotta get my phone and get tickets right now.
Yeah. So we events in New Zealand should be special, right?
Yeah,
like
that's fair.
You're it takes a lot of energy, effort, money, resources, time to get to New Zealand, and it's one of those things where you kind of just have this realization or this epiphany where it's like, you know what, we really need to like make it like like a special experience if you're going to come to Auckland and be a part of this. So so we've got a couple very special events. We've got double calling to keep you satisfied for a couple days. So that will be happening August 8th to 10th in New Zealand. That will also be the release weekend for Smash Palace and Mastery Pack Guardian.
Stay tuned.
If you watched the keynote last night, then you would already know a little bit about those things, and that's going to be a ton of fun.
You're leaving me hanging, bro.
After that, we've got Kansas City. This is going to be organized by Travis at Fab Foundry. So really? Travis will be organizing our event in Kansas City, Kansas, August 15 to 17. So that'll be at the Overland Park Convention Center. Encourage all of the Portland locals here and people from around the country and the world to go and visit us in Kansas City. Have some good Kansas City barbecue. It's a thing that you must do. We'll have a classic constructed calling there in Kansas City. Middle of August 15 to 17. The weekend after that, this one is pretty exciting for us. So we will be traveling to Scandinavia for the first time for a calling in Copenhagen. So Simon Nielsen, if you're out there, get ready. August 22 to 24, we'll have a classic constructed calling in Copenhagen. That's going to be a ton of fun. We have a lot of fans in Scandinavia. that have been waiting for a calling, and this is going to be a ton of fun for us to bring an event to
I'm sure you're going to
Copenhagen.
hate having to fly out there.
So, the thing is, my travel schedule in July and August is a little crazy. I don't actually know for sure which events I'm going to make it to because there's so much going on. But there's a lot to be excited for. I really want to go to Travis's show. I kind of want to go to Copenhagen. I've been to Copenhagen a couple times, so I don't know if I'll make it out there or not. But I encourage people to get out there. All right, this one is big news. So we have our friends up north that have been patiently waiting. They've had obviously national championships, some battle hardens, but they've been wondering, when are we going to bring a calling to Canada? Montreal, September 12th to 14th. We're bringing a world premiere to Montreal. So the world premiere for set 17 will be in Montreal.
And that's the all warrior set, right?
We'll see. I don't know. But there will be a world premiere there, September 12th to 14th, in Montreal, with the usual things, calling, battle harden, all that good stuff. Very excited to be putting this together for our friends up in Canada. They've been patiently waiting. The thing is, when you're organizing a global circuit, right, like it takes time to onboard these tournament organizers, to get the infrastructure in place, to have, also just to make sure that the market is ready and these kinds of things. And like when we go somewhere, we want it to be a success, right? We took our time in Brazil. We wanted to find a partner we could work with. We wanted to make sure the market was ready, and they delivered, right? So now it's going to be a lot easier when I, design 2026, and I can just put Brazil on the schedule for 2026, right? If that event in Sao Paulo didn't go over well, it would be a little bit more of an uphill battle for me to like justify coming back year over year, right? So here we go. Canada, we think, you're overdue. You're going to deliver.
Let me paraphrase for Trevor. Sack up, Canada.
Yeah.
It's time to go.
So get your poutine and head to Montreal this September. This one is already out there because we were talking about Japan a little bit earlier this year, but Shizuoka, this will be on release weekend for set 17, September 26 to 28. We'll have a calling in Shizuoka, Japan.
On release weekend?
On release weekend, yep.
Is that your first dual release weekend?
Sorry.
Memphis was on release weekend. That's on me.
Yeah.
That's on me. Sorry.
All good. So we'll have the event in Shizuoka. Then the week after, it's the one we started talking about earlier, we'll be going to Germany. We're going to be going to Hamburg, Germany, October 3rd to 5th for calling, battle hardened, super armory, all that good stuff. It'll be our first event in Germany. Look forward to seeing you there. 18 and over event, but we'll see you in Hamburg. So, okay.
Are we getting close to Worlds, Trevor?
Yes. So we'll have ProQuest season going on for ProQuest, for the first Pro Tour of 2026, which will be the Japan Pro Tour that we've already kind of teased, James has teased before. So we'll have that ProQuest season going on, and then at the end of the ProQuest season, we will lead into our World Championship, which will be in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Cheesesteaks, baby!
Yeah. So November 13 to 16 of this year, we'll have the World Championship calling, battle hardened, all that good stuff. That will be in downtown Philadelphia. Encourage people to get out there and be a part of the World Championship, returning back to the U.S. This is our fourth World Championship, second time in the United States. So excited for people to get another taste of the pinnacle of flesh and blood organized play.
You went from the beach to maybe snow because it's November, right? Early November.
Yeah, it'll be we will be November 13 to 16. Could
be a snowy Liberty Bell.
We will see. We'll see. With winters in North America, it seems to have shifted quite a bit. It's a lot more like January, February.
That is
fair. At least when I'm organizing events, February is always the sketchy month. But and then we've got a few more to close out the year. We will head back to Europe. Valencia, Spain, November 28th to 30th. So that'll be Thanksgiving weekend here in the States, but Thanksgiving is just here, not around the world. So if you want to get out of the United States, head to Spain.
If you don't like turkey, it's time to go to Spain.
turkey, it's time to go to Spain, because in Spain they eat ham, and they've got this thing called jamón ibérico, and it is delicious. I recommend people go to Spain at some point in their life. Valencia will be beautiful. So that'll be November 28th to 30th. Excited for us to get back to Spain. It'll be our first calling in Spain since the World Championship was there in Barcelona 2 years ago. Well, I think you'll like this. We'll be ending the year in Seattle.
Okay. That's Seattle's first, baby.
Seattle's first. So December 12th to 14th in Seattle. So we'll be closing out the year in Seattle. That'll be a calling. Yeah. So all the events that we've been discussing are callings. So that'll be in Seattle, December 12th to 14th. So come join us, before you go out to the holidays. Come play some Flesh and Blood in Seattle. This is a really cool venue. It's at the Seattle Center complex. So it's at the exhibition hall there. So you literally can walk out from the convention center and go and check out the Space Needle. Right. Be a great opportunity. If anyone has never been to Seattle before, highly recommend you come to this event. The weather should be actually pretty decent still. Weather in the Northwest doesn't get
Seattle.
Too, yeah, it'll be just, kind of rain or cold, but like our weather isn't usually sketchy until February anyways. So it'll be a good time to come to the Northwest to see the Christmas lights and all that good stuff.
That's fun.
We have one more calling that is to be slotted in, and that'll be sometime during Q4. We'll have an Australian calling as well. Okay. So to our friends down under.
That's just a small continent.
Yeah, just another place. I actually love Australia a lot, but yeah. So we'll have might even be filled in by the time.
All right. So hit us with the 2026. What's the forecast, baby?
Yeah, so look, like we were talking a little bit about Battle Hardened and these other things. Like, look, we have a lot of things going on right now, right? We have a lot of callings. We have our 2 Pro Tours. We have Worlds. We have the National Championship circuit that runs in almost 50 countries or regions around the world. We've got 50, 60, 70 Battle Hardens. We've got obviously all the in-store programs that support all this. There's a lot of things going on. We also have a lot of ways that we're currently rating and ranking players, whether that's with World Tour points, whether that's with ELO, whether that's with XP, right? So there's just a lot of things going on, and we've just kind of every year piled on more things, right? And so we haven't really taken a chance to go back and actually really reassess everything that we're doing and kind of like make sense of why all these programs exist, right? Mm-hmm. We just kind of kept, layering things on. And it was only last year that we kind of brought the world premieres back and doing 3 of those every year. And so there's a lot of things happening, and we need to simplify things a bit. One thing I want to talk about a little bit is ELO, right? ELO is a very contentious
this is going to get a lot of interest.
Yeah, it's a very contentious thing that gets a lot of there's a lot of feelings people have around it, right? And it's a very challenging system, right? Because it doesn't really promote engagement, right? It's not a great system if you're running a business.
But there's degrading ELO and
there's a lot of things, right? There's a lot of things we could do with ELO decay and these other kinds of things, but the reality is you're always putting something on the line, right? And to give you a good example, right, it's like we just had an ELO cutoff that had to happen for nationals qualification, right? And we have this dilemma inside the studio of, do we put the cutoff at the end of our TN season, so in early March, and run it then so that players feel more free to go to Kobe and Sao Paulo and stake their rating points, and you already lock up the national things, right? That's one option. Or you would get people on the other side of it saying, well, wait, why didn't you run ELO, after, so that people in Asia or in South America would actually have a chance to play in like a major event where they could stake their ELO and actually, improve their ranking,
assuming
right?
that people came out to wager it against. It's like a push-pull, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And so you're kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? So we made the cutoff after these events happened because, to me, that felt very inclusive, right? To give people the chance to go out and play, right? I generally believe that people will just go out and play the game. But there are some people that, I don't think it's a lot, but there are some people that make a conscious choice of, yeah, my nationals invite is more important to me. I'm just going to sit this one out, right? And that's just not really the right kind of behavior that we want to promote, right? People should feel comfortable just being able to come and play. So this is something we'll be looking at, right? Is what does the future look like in terms of ranking our pro players, right? After we have a bit more time under the belt and after we look at where the World Tour points are towards the end of this year, I think that's going to be a very interesting one where we look at it and say, actually, can we use a different system that's just additive, that recognizes people who want to play at a more professional level, and use something like that as a way to offer qualification and that sort of thing. We also have XP, which is just kind of hanging out here. And, XP was always kind of this tricky one where
you could abuse the grinding.
You could abuse it.
Right.
And the problem is, the abuse was also in line with what the top prize was at your armory, which was the cold foil for the top, right?
Oh, fair point.
Now we're in a different world where winning your armory isn't actually as essential as it was back then, right? Just coming to have fun and play in your armory, people want to win, but it's not all or nothing. It's not, I'm going to get the cold foil or not, right? So XP becomes actually a little bit more of an interesting metric because we can actually use XP as a way to just evaluate, engagement without having to worry too much that it's just going to be a grind fest where people, will feel this pressure to grind, get as many points as possible, take all the cool prizes, that sort of thing. People may still want to grind XP depending on what we use it for, but it won't at the same time mean that they're taking all the top prize, right? Everyone's going to get a gem pack, that kind of thing. So,
that's actually not the rules. It is highly encouraged.
Yeah. Well, I think any LGS that is finding success is giving a gem pack to everyone.
I appreciate that comment.
Yeah.
I agree with
you. So there may be a few unicorn stores out there that their whole community is doing that sort of thing. But I think in general, you're going to find that your participation is higher when people get something when they, sign up and pay and play.
I mean, my own personal data is there.
Yeah. So look, we have these three things. We need to simplify it. That's going to be one thing. We have a lot of these other programs where, when we talk about the World Tour, we kind of shipped a half-baked product. It wasn't what I wanted it to be when we shipped the World Tour. I'll just be completely honest. When we shipped it last year,
you mean the rebranding?
Yeah. We shipped a half-baked product. That is just kind of the reality, right? There was not a lot of clarity about what it really meant, right? There weren't a lot of resources or pages or details. The branding and the identity still doesn't, make a ton of sense. And
I think it makes sense from, to me, it makes sense from the, if I'm trying to win the prize.
Sure.
But where hits me from the other side is I'm like, oh, there's a World Tour event in Portland.
Yeah.
Now I have to go find out what kind of World Tour event, right?
Exactly.
Whereas opposed, it was or it's not opposed. Previously, it was oh, there's a calling in Portland. Oh, there's Battle Hardened in Denver.
Yep.
Whatever, right? So now it's oh, there's a World Tour Denver, there's a World Tour Portland, but what is it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look, so that's not great, right? It's a little bit disingenuous, right? Yes, we want to encourage people to go out and travel and play in these battle hardens, earn some more World Tour points, get out there. But at the same time, the experience you're going to get if you come to this pro tour in, London, or you come to Singapore, you come to Taipei, these are meaningfully different experiences than coming to, a battle hardened in, somewhere, right? That's just a battle hardened as the top thing. And it's kind of weird for me to say this in my role, but
just a battle hardened. Yeah,
well, no, it's
no, I get it.
We're putting on a different kind of production, right? And it hurts me a little bit that we're kind of masking it this way. And so, so battle hardens were a way that Flesh and Blood could scale at a time where we didn't have the resources to run callings and pro tours and world premieres and things like that where we wanted to around the world. We've grown a lot over the last couple years. And what we will see as we head into 2026 is that we're going to be in a position to really deliver the world tour experience around the world in a way that we can have more agency over it, and we can use the calling as a way to align with that world tour and really make it clear like what coming to a world tour stop looks like. Also at the same time, we don't have to utilize the Battle Hardened as something to like kind of like multiply our presence. If that makes sense, like the Battle Hardened allowed us to kind of get all of these little dots and pins on the map when we didn't have the ability to really be present around the world.
Pilot, I think is what I said earlier.
We could kind of sample or pilot markets or things like that. But we have to realize that we've grown over these last couple of years and we can do a lot more. And we can take a bit more ownership of events when we're doing, calling events. So Battle Hardens are still going to exist. The way that we approach it's going to be a bit different.
Will they be mostly convention tied, stuff like that, or
you'll see. I think it'll be actually something that we give a bit more agency to shops who want to do them. Shops that have.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've got a store that could fit at least 64, 80, or 120 people. I think this will actually be something that, we look to enable top performing stores to just be able to earn these like periodically over time.
That's very interesting.
Yes. So, look, like there's a lot of things that we still have to work on, but trying to, so when the Battle Hardened first
cash prize,
we'll see how this
looks.
We'll see how this looks, because the thing is like, when the Battle Hardened first started, it was just like this Sunday side event at Callings, right? It wasn't a 3-day event weekend experience, right? It started off as just a side event, a 1-day tournament. The Battle Hardened is a 1-day tournament. And when I kind of look out at like what we're doing, I feel like we need to actually segment our products in the market correctly, right? Like we need to make sure that we're positioning a world tour stop and what that entails. Is it going to have vendors, artists? What kind of programming? Does it have a calling? Does right? Like we need to make it like really effing clear, like what a world tour stop is, what that means, and then the Battle Hardened. Yeah, we see what the future holds for this kind of thing. We're talking a bit more into 2026. We've got a lot of things to focus on. We still have all of 2025 ahead, and this is purely conjecture, right? So. We see what happens. But I think as we head into 2026, I want our programs to feel more simple, to feel more straightforward, to have brevity, to have less rating systems. We have a lot of things that we've just piled on, and we can actually take a step back now and like just make the shit make sense, right? So that's going to be my big focus over these coming weeks and months as we plan for next year is I just want to make it simple for everyone, and I want us to do more of the things that we're doing well, right? Like I want us to lean into the things that are going well, and also offer opportunities to other people outside of the, outside of like the smaller circle of event organizers to participate in some of these other event series that we have. So I think that's what the future holds. We'll see how it all comes together, but yeah, I really want to make what we're doing have like clear identity, clear purpose, easy for players to understand. Players like still don't even really grasp what the World Tour of the Year, is, right? And like we need to World Tour Player of the Year thing, right? And we're still not even doing a great job of communicating this. So it's the end of the podcast. You're getting my honest feelings about this, but and I say it because I care deeply about it. Right?
I can feel that you're very passionate about it, and I am very excited that you're the person at the helm to make these decisions, because I know, I know you, obviously, it's why we're here doing this, but I'm very excited that it's you.
Yeah, at
the reins or whatever the kids say these days.
Yeah. I think there's a lot to look forward to. We have a lot to look forward to this year. There's a lot of great events on the schedule. We've curated a lot of beautiful places for people to travel to all around the world. And I think it's, to me, I think we're just getting started still. I think there's a lot more cooking for us to do. I think, I think this is going to be a great year. The rest of the year, it's crazy to me that we're going to this, this pro tour in London that's going on right now. So I'm in two places at once, but it's crazy to think that we're only like a third, not even a third of the way into the year. We're just over a quarter of the way into the year, but we've already done a lot, and so. And we're already going to be looking ahead to next year. So, look, there's a beautiful year ahead. People are going to have fun with the ProQuest season that's coming up, qualifying for Singapore. People are going to be excited for Taipei. There's just a lot ahead, and there'll be a lot of things going on at conventions. We've got a lot of things.
Busy summer.
Busy summer. Here's a surprise for you.
No Blaze promos this summer, right?
No hero promo. Yeah.
Well, no, they're the rainbow foils.
Yeah. Those, but it's not a brand new hero, right? So, but there will be other promo cards that'll come out this summer as well, but not. We aren't going to release like another hero, a new hero, like exclusive through cons this year. But, Gen Con is going to be a big one. We've always got the Penny Arcade Expos later in the year, but one of the ones, if you watched the keynote last night, you will see that Legend Story Studios is going to be going to San Diego Comic-Con for the first time alongside Weta Workshop. So we are doing a collab
partnership
with Weta Workshop at San Diego Comic-Con. So you may have seen a little bit of that in the keynote last night. And I'm excited for what's to come there. We'll have some cool products that we'll release in San Diego. It's a tricky one, San Diego Comic-Con. A lot of people who want to go there, they've already had to like commit and get a badge a long time ago. So it'll be really interesting. Our first year, I think there'll be a lot of people that'll be buying for other people, like at that show, sort of thing, because a lot of our community, won't necessarily be there the first year. Hopefully, as we demonstrate that we're going to San Diego Comic-Con every year, then more Flesh and Blood fans will be able to get tickets in advance. But
you might be surprised.
But who knows how it'll work out. But this is going to be a little bit kind of a different presentation. There'll be some really cool surprises on the booth. We'll be working alongside Weta, so it'll be. It'll just be a fun activation for us. This isn't going to be like a tournament weekend kind of thing. This is much more like a brand and studio presence and retail sort of thing. So we've got that coming in July. We have Gen Con after that with Smash Palace and Mastery Pack Guardian releasing early access at Gen Con, and then hitting hobby stores shelves the following week. We'll have Montreal for the world premiere in September for set 17. World Championship will be in Philly. And then end of the year will be in Seattle, and there's many other events in between. And then somewhere in this timeline we will also talk about some things that you were talking about earlier, which is like what is the future for Blitz and short form Flesh and Blood. So
short form Flesh and Blood. So I think that's the new term.
Yeah. So we'll see. What the future holds there. So obviously you asked some really good questions. Man, I'm excited for the future and excited to have you on the journey. You've always been a great ambassador to Flesh and Blood from the beginning. It was great to be able to welcome you down to Queenstown last year. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get to go somewhere else in the world later this year. I don't know.
Sounds like Auckland or wherever is the place to be this next year. But.
Yeah.
All right, my friend. Well, I want to thank you for, I don't know how long we've been here at this point. But,
I have a couple things before we wrap up.
Please,
so just a few things first. Let me see here. So first things first. So one of these.
Cool. You got black envelopes, kids.
I know. So Andrew, I've got. Look, as a commoner player, I feel like I don't even know how much you like this hero or not, but I wanted to make sure that you had one of these because this card is pretty much only usable in Commoner. So I'll let you just kind of open
a black envelope.
Open that one up. It's nothing too exclusive or anything, but
is that a cold ball Viscerai?
Yeah. So it's the Viscerai that we gave out
in
Chicago last year. But I figured as a Commoner enthusiast, you would appreciate having a cold foil Viscerai in your collection.
Oh my goodness.
And this one is just one that I wanted to tell a little story about. Is actually kind of like the first Flesh and Blood promo card that I've actually been hands-on, like, involved with. If you remember, this would have been basically 2 years ago now. We did a Merlion Sigil of Solace that was given out at Singapore like 2 years ago.
Right.
After that event, me and a friend of mine, Nick Tung, who is the distributor.
You're talking like the dragon fountain.
Yeah, the Merlion fountain thing where it's shooting the water out, Sigil of Solace. So Nick Tung and myself, Nick is the CEO of Legendary Games Distribution, so the distributor for Southeast Asia. We were chatting after the event, and we were kind of thinking like, okay, so what's going to be like the next sort of like APAC, regional promo? And mind you, this was almost 2 years ago now, just to give you a sense of how long like doing a good promo card, can take. And so, one of the regions that we wanted to really, shout out was, Hong Kong, right? Like there's a passionate community of elite players in Hong Kong. And we were kind of like thinking of like different things. I was like, well, Hong Kong is all about food. There could be, dim sum. There's the ding ding. There's the skyline. There's the view. There's Victoria, Victoria Harbor. There's the peak. There's lots of different things that you could highlight. But one of the things that really stuck out to me was like, oh, well, we could do something that's maybe more about like, kind of like Chinese culture, which is mahjong. So if you're familiar with mahjong, with the tiles and everything. And so in mahjong, there is a lot of different game actions that you can take in mahjong. You draw a tile, and then you look at your kind of your row of tiles, and then you have to kind of discard a tile at the end of your turn if you don't. Basically you're just like drawing and replacing tiles, trying to make different sets of tiles, whether it's 3 of a kind, 4 of a kind, that sort of thing. When you pitch a tile, that tile kind of then becomes, free game for other people to grab that tile, but only if they have something that they can use it with. And so I was like, oh, this is like a perfect opportunity for us to like do like a pong or a gong, which means that you're like snatching the tile to make like a combo.
Snatch.
And so snatch being the key word, right? And we actually thought about it a bit more. Because I was originally saying, oh, well, it should just be like pong, because that's like the common phrase when you get a tile and you make a 3 of a kind. But actually, when you gong, it's when you make a 4 of a kind, and then when you're successful with it, you actually draw another tile back from the deck, which is exactly what Snatch is. When you successfully hit with Snatch, you draw a card, right? So this was a really fun one. It's just a little personal gift from me to you. So here's this is the Snatch. That's the Snatch promo. That's the first card that that I was involved in the conceptual.
In the snake.
Yeah, it's in the Year of the Snake package, and there'll be some scheduled events happening in Asia with that promo card as well. But another fun story with that. It's also translated into Cantonese so that it's actually like reflective of the way people in Hong Kong would talk. So my wife actually did the translation for it. So it was actually really cool if you watch the video that Blue Pitch did with it, when Xing actually like calls out like, oh my God, they actually like wrote it like in Cantonese. And that was very intentional, because most of the time when people are writing in Chinese, they're writing like from a Mandarin perspective. But there are some kind of like linguistic differences. Even when you write something in Chinese, both Mandarin or Cantonese speakers can read it, but there's different ways that people phrase it, even in the written language. So we did that. Did that promo, and then the creative team just really crushed it. They took my write-up of, it could be somebody snatching a tile off the table, and we had to make sure that the attention to detail was right. So, it was Robbie's idea to kind of get new as the player, and this would be kind of like set in her tea room, with a mahjong table. And she's grabbing a snake tile. She already has 3 snakes here, so she grabs the snake tile from the pile and makes the gong, which is the 4 of a kind. It was a lot of attention to detail, it's very hard, honestly, to get like a promo card that's like that, like contextually accurate. Like doing something like Sigil of Solace is kind of easy, right? You just kind of like put like a shrine or like some kind of monument or something, and it's like something for reprisal or something. So we did like the Sagrada Familia, which is a beautiful card, illustrated by Sir Masoa from France when she did that artwork for Barcelona 2 years ago. But in this case, we were able to really get the attention to detail and have a mahjong table and that sort of thing. So those are my little gifts for you. I wanted to tell a story about the Snatch thing. And then this last thing for you. So this is something that I think will go nice in your maybe the background of your studio. God. So funny story with this. For whatever reason, there's no glass on the front panel, so we aren't going to like give this out. But I figured this actually might be good for a streamer's background because there's no glass. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this to Andrew today, and he can put it.
I might get my scissors out, and those are 2 cheese there, baby.
So, but anyways, I figured it would be a cool little thing for you to have in your.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, wow. So it's a 3x3 uncut sheet. There's some cool stuff on here, obviously, like greaves and the extended art there as well. So. I thought that I'm like, that'll be pretty cool. So, not often do we have little things like this, but I can't give this away as a prize anymore. So I figure it needs to go to a good home. So,
awesome. Yeah. Well, so if you're a streamer, you just learned you should have Trevor on your cast, is what we just learned.
So there's no guarantees with any of this. And this is the first time I've gotten to do kind of an in-person, interview like this. It's much better being able to chat here in person.
It is. So it is. Well, and I appreciate you making the time, and we had to catch you in between all of your plane flights, but
it's all good.
Anything you want to call out before we get out of here, my friend?
Oh boy. If you're seeing this next week,
if you're seeing it today.
Well, or you're seeing this today, which means the Pro Tour is going on right now in London. If you haven't seen the keynote last night, highly recommend you check it out. James was on stage, did a fantastic job talking about everything that's ahead. Definitely catch out the Pro Tour coverage that's going on this weekend. We'll see who becomes the 6th Flesh and Blood Pro Tour champion. So catch all that coverage this weekend. Stay tuned for all the events at fabtcg.com. Let Andrew know what you thought about this. Write a comment down below, for, I don't know, maybe something he needs to ask me next time, or just your general thoughts.
Let him know about your thoughts about ELO.
Yeah, exactly. So, or just, anything in the future, or if you want us to run an event somewhere in the future,
Portland.
Of course, obviously, but if there's anywhere around the world that you want to go and you need an excuse to go there, let us know so that we can consider that for a future stop on the world tour. So, awesome. I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, with that said, then, you know how we end this, right? 3, 2, 1.
Go Commando.
Go Commando.